Everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we are going to be doing a paint review video. It has been a hot minute since I've done a paint review video because there just hasn't been anything out there that I wanted to review. Nothing new, nothing that I've seen until just recently. I saw a couple of influencers on Instagram using this paint, and then I started to research it a little bit and thought, all right, I want to try it. So today we are going to try this paint together for the first time. I haven't even opened it and done a color preview. I figured it would be fun to do that on camera. I got 2 quarts of the paint in different colors. I know which one we're going to use today for the review video, but let's go ahead and get started. I want to pop open these paint cans and show you what they look like. Let me just say though, before we get started, 2 things. Please remember that all these review videos are my opinion of the product. What works for me may not work for you. What I like, you may not like, and that's 100% okay. But please remember that these are my opinions and my experiences. With that being said, I also want to let you guys know, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Not only that way you can become part of my community, but you can support my YouTube channel, which I so appreciate. All right, let's stop talking and get into it. We are reviewing today, by the way, is called House and Canvas Chalk Finish Paint. Kind of forgot to say that in the intro, so let's go ahead and get started. We talk about all things when it comes to reviewing a paint. So this is how it came. They were packaged, wrapped up in lots of wrapping. Then they were in this plastic baggie, which I have to tell you, when ordering paint to be shipped, it's so nice when they do this, just in case something explodes during shipping, it's going to be contained in the plastic bag. So then they go ahead and also put these little tabs on there, which is also a great safety precaution from explosion. And let me tell you, from somebody who orders a lot of paint, that has happened. So let's go ahead and pop these off and get these colors open so we can see what because nobody needs to see me struggle to get those little tabs off and the lids off. I did that off camera. Now we're ready to take a look at the paint. So this one is called Jameson Blue. That is absolutely gorgeous. It is very similar to what I looked at on the computer, which is always nice because computer generated and what's real life is a little different. This one's called Linen. Now I'm only going to use one of these today, so we are going to go ahead and swatch these on a paint stick just to see how pretty they look, so you guys can see them on camera. Such a pretty color. Now I have no idea what I'm going to paint with this yet, and I am going to do a full piece of furniture, but these are so, I picked one that was a pretty neutral and one that was more of a standout color, and that is what they look like. Oh, that is so incredibly pretty. So today we're going to use the Jameson Blue because I feel like it will show up better on camera than the Linen. So, and I really want to give you guys a good capture of the paint. All right, so one of the things it does say to do is to stir the paint. And let me tell you, that consistency right now, it is super thick. Now this is a chalk style paint. Chalk finish, I believe they call it. So you definitely need to stir. This is really super thick. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this off camera, get it all ready for us to go. But first impression, traditional chalk paint. Chalk paints are traditionally more on the thick side, and this one is thick. So let's go ahead, keep stirring this off camera, and I'll come back as soon as it's ready. Let's go ahead and get started. Now I'm using my Klingon F50 brush. As you can see, this brush has been through the ringer. It's been with me a long time. This is my absolute favorite brush. I am working with a pre-moistened brush. It's not wet, it's not dripping, but I always work with a wet brush to start with. I store my brushes in water, so I just pat them dry and get started. So let's just go ahead and get this paint on here and see how this is gonna come out. So traditionally chalk paints are chalky and they tend to not go on like other paints. So application, when I'm using a chalk paint, is one of the things that I look for. Is it easy? Is it going to work nicely? Is it going to drag? And right now I can tell you from using so many chalk paints over the years that this does not feel like your traditional chalk paint. I'm sorry you guys, I'm not even centered on the camera there. And so I have to say, application wise, it feels like it goes on very nice and smooth. Now I don't want to overwork this too terribly much. It is a self-leveling paint, so you can pretty much put your paint on and get the coverage you need, and walk away. I'm not gonna worry about this up here because I really didn't put anything down underneath and I don't want to paint all over my counter. So we're just gonna focus on, for right now, this. I have to say the first coat of the application went on really nicely. Like I said, it doesn't feel like a traditional chalk paint. Now that can change when you go to apply your second coat. Sometimes once the piece has one layer down and something to grab onto, it can tend to feel a little bit more of a drag, but we'll see how that goes on the second coat. I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry, talk to you guys a little bit more about this paint. By that time, we'll come back and we'll apply our second coat. All right, while that first coat is drying, let's go ahead and talk about the paint a little bit. So this is what it comes in here. I have the quart size here, which retails for about $24.98. It's called a chalk finish paint, and it dries about 1 to 2 hours in between coats and then 24 hours before you top coat. And it will require a top coat. Most of the chalk finish, chalk style paints do require the top coat. If it doesn't say it has one built in, just know you're gonna have to top coat it. And this one, for extra durability and longevity of your finish, I would absolutely top coat it. So it's a self-leveling paint, low VOC, which, what do those things mean if you're not familiar with them? So a self-leveling paint means when you apply your paint, it will kind of level itself out after a few moments and you don't need to overwork it. So if you have maybe some high or low spots, it will kind of level itself out, which is really, really nice. The other thing is low VOCs. Those are volatile organic compounds, and that is, in layman terms, to make it really simple, is what makes a paint smelly and what makes a paint possibly hazardous to our health. Okay, so paints that have really high VOCs, I would not recommend using them in an interior or indoor area. They're not good for you. This is a low VOC paint, and they not only don't really have a smell, and that is something I talk about in my review videos, because not everybody paints outside or in an exterior workshop. You do paint in your home, and so you want to make sure, is it a smelly paint? I have to tell you, not really any smell to it. So that is really good. This paint also says that there is no need for a base coat or a primer. So that's kind of nice. I'm gonna read what it says on the label here. And I can read it because the writing is actually decent, not little teeny. It says that this is a water-based paint that dries to an ultra matte chalk finish. It's easy to use, self-leveling, requires no base coat or primer, and ideal for painting different types of furniture, cabinetry, upholstery, walls, and other surfaces, including laminate, metal, concrete, and plastic. Their paint is non-toxic with ultra-low VOCs, which can be used indoors. So that is what the label says, which is really, really nice when they put all that information on there for you guys, because like I said, not everybody paints in the same environment. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first coat and see how it came out. So let's take a look at our board on the first coat. So here we are here. I'm gonna get super close to the camera so you guys can really see what it looks like. As far as coverage goes, it's pretty darn good. I mean, of course, you see peek through here, but that's because I didn't load up too terribly heavy, and it doesn't claim to be a one coat coverage. I will say this is very good coverage for a paint, and I'm probably gonna say on our second coat, we'll get everything we need on there. Don't pay attention to this part. As I mentioned in the earlier segment, I didn't even bother to paint it. So it's very, very smooth. I do not see any brush stroke in there. So it's got a really smooth finish to it, and it feels matte. It doesn't necessarily feel chalky, doesn't have that residual feel, but it does feel very matte, and the finish is going to be very matte until you top coat it. So let's go ahead and get our second coat on and see what we think of that. Try to get you guys in here really super close. I've got my brush wrapped up in some saran wrap. That is what I do in between coats, so I don't have to rewash it every time. Let's go ahead and dig in for our second coat. Like I said, I really feel like the coverage on this is really nice, and I'm feeling, well, I tried not to do that, but I did just do it. I painted my countertop. That's okay. It wasn't the first time, and it won't be the last. But what I was saying is the coverage on this seems really, really good, and I feel like the second coat is going to give us everything we need. Now I'm going to stop there because I don't want to overwork it. All right, I've got one major difference from this chalk type paint from others, and that is the application of the second coat was really, really easy. Sometimes, like I said earlier, you'll get that pull or that drag with your second coat once it has something to grab onto, especially with chalk paints because they're just made differently and they're more matte. That didn't feel like at all that it had any drag. It was very smooth, very easy to apply. So that is really, really comforting and reassuring when I go to paint a big piece, because that can be a big issue. And a lot of times what you have to do is re-wet your brush or mist your piece in order for you to get that nice even coverage and not have any dry spots or any dragging. That did not seem to do it at all. So that's awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry, and then we'll come back, we'll take a look at the second coat dry, and we'll do a recap. So second coat is dry, and I'm pretty happy with the way it's come out. It, like I said, does not feel like a traditional chalk paint when you go to apply it. That's like the biggest thing for me. When I'm applying chalk paint, first coat always goes on beautifully, but if I'm not blending it with water and using my mister, sometimes that second coat can really be problematic. And so I did not find that with this. Now, keep in mind, this is just a small 12-inch board. I am going to, because I have a ton of the paint, I am going to paint some pieces in these. And as soon as I do that, I will do an update or an add-on to this video to let you know. I currently don't have anything, unfortunately, that I can paint either one of these beautiful colors, but as soon as I get something in, I plan on it, and I'll let you guys know what I think. But here it is here. Here is the second coat. I ran my finger over it down here, so while it wasn't dry, so it kind of made a mess. But this is to give you a really good look and peek. It is actually very smooth. Now you can sand in between coats of this as well. So if something gets into your paint or it just feels a little gritty to you, or maybe, you know, you were having some issues with your brush and you got some strokes in there you don't like, you can definitely sand in between coats and apply your second coat. I would say coverage wise, this is pretty good. I'm leaning it this way because I get a lot of lighting in my shop and a lot of reflection, so I'm trying to give you guys the best picture of this. But I would say coverage wise, 2 coats, at least on this cover, on this color, was really, really good. I don't think I would put another coat on this. So anyway, I really like how that came out. Let's go ahead and talk about, we'll recap and talk about all the good stuff. You guys, so let's go ahead and do a quick recap. First of all, I need to make a correction. I was wrong on the price. I paid $29.98 for the quart, not $24.98. So sorry about that. Every dollar does count, so I wanted to make sure I corrected myself. As far as the shipping goes, that was free, which was awesome. Anything over $35 was free, and they do offer a full line, so you can get all types of different products, not just their paint. I ordered 2 of their quarts, arrived within about a week after my order, and it came safely. So I do like the way that they package their paint, because I have had disasters in the past, and that is no fun to get excited about something showing up and then having it be a complete mess. So I will give them an A+ on their packaging as well. As far as the way that the first coat went on, it was excellent. No problems at all. I will say it's a thicker consistency paint, so if you're not used to that, it may take a little getting used to. You definitely can use water or a mister bottle or a damp brush to help you overcome that thick consistency if you're not used to it. As far as the second coat went on, it didn't feel like a traditional chalk style paint. I work with a lot of different chalk paints, and sometimes they can tend to get that drag or that pull, which can be a little problematic to getting a smooth application. Did not find that at all with this. It felt a little different, which was really refreshing, and I really liked that. You can definitely sand in between coats if you need to. If maybe you get some ridges in there, if something flies into your paint, it sands down really, really nice. I did try that just to make sure that I liked the way it sanded, and it sanded to a beautiful, buttery, smooth, you know, chalky finish. So it is a very matte style paint, and you do want to top coat this for the extra durability and longevity of your project. So again, it's about 1 to 2 hours in between coats, which is pretty standard in the industry. And then they ask you to wait 24 hours before you put on your top coat, which again, that's pretty standard too. That's what I always do. My thing is never rush it. Doesn't matter how good your product is, never rush it. It's not a good idea. So all in all, I would say I really am looking forward to working with this paint. I will do an add-on video that showcases when I paint some pieces of furniture with this, and I'm gonna try spraying it too. It can be sprayed or brushed, whichever you prefer. And I am gonna go ahead and try spraying this paint as well. super anxious to get some furniture in here. I have plenty of pieces, just nothing to allocate to painting either one of these colors right now. So as soon as I do, I will put a video up for you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I certainly appreciate it. I appreciate you being subscribers. Keep subscribing so you can get all of my videos, and make sure that if you have any questions or positive comments, you place them down below. I love engaging with you guys and will always answer your questions. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.